Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Real Tech, Real Talk, a podcast from cexposure.tech. Today, we are diving into the world of global hiring, a landscape filled with exciting possibilities, but also riddled with challenges. Complex employment laws, varying tax regulations, and cultural nuances can all feel like insurmountable hurdles. So, is there a way to simplify this process and empower your business to scale internationally? Joining us today to share her insights on how businesses can navigate the complexities of international hiring and build thriving remote teams is the international expansion consultant from Remote, Shreya Jajodia. Hello, Shreya. Welcome to Real Tech, Real Talk.
Thank you so much, Kumaran. It's a pleasure to be here.
So today we are discussing international expansion, hiring and managing teams across borders, right? See, many companies today are like eager to expand their teams internationally. I mean, they want to build teams that span continents, especially remote teams, to compete on a global scale. But of course, this expanding like this is not as easy as just posting a job advert and getting people to come and join you. And I've also noticed remote is gaining a lot of attention for its innovative approach to hiring, paying, and managing employees across borders. So maybe you could give our viewers a brief overview of remote, your mission, and the markets you're currently serving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you may already have seen, remote is really shaking things up when it comes to how companies build global teams, right? And our mission here at Remote is quite straightforward. So, we're here to simplify global employment. Now, what we mean by that is we're all about making it easier for companies to hire talent anywhere on the planet. So, we're trying to break down the barriers that often complicate international hiring and are creating opportunities, and not just for businesses, also for employees worldwide, right? And in terms of our expansion, we're obviously making a big impact in, across a few key regions. For instance, in Asia Pacific market, we have been able to work with some impressive clients, and we don't stop there. We're continuing to expand our presence across the EMEA and the Americas regions. We're partnering with a lot of companies across a wide range of industries, right? From tech to finance to healthcare to support their global hiring needs. So whether you're in Sydney or San Francisco, London or Lagos, Remote is there to make global hiring simpler and more accessible than ever before. And personally, for me, it's quite impressive to see how we're transforming the way companies often think about expanding their teams worldwide. So, yeah.
Okay, expanding a company's reach is an exciting prospect, of course, but it does come with its fair share of complexities, right? It's not like you can just simply replicate domestic processes and just, implement it across the board. So what are the challenges you see companies often face when hiring internationally, such as, like navigating complex employment laws, tax requirements, and cultural nuances?
Right. So when it comes to hiring internationally, obviously companies face with quite a few challenges, right? Now, first off, there are the employment laws. So every country has its own set of rules governing how businesses can hire and manage employees. Now, this means that businesses really need to dig into things like labor laws, contract specifics, and what rights employees have in each location. Now, next comes obviously the tax side of things, right? And we're all aware that dealing with taxes across borders is no joke. So it's extremely critical that companies have to totally stay, on the line with the local tax laws, covering everything from payroll taxes to social contributions. So it is a big, complicated puzzle to solve. And obviously, let's not forget the cultural differences, right? So every country has its own unique ways with different norms and customs. And I feel making sure that your team feels comfortable and respected means understanding these differences and really being flexible, right? To give you an example, so in some parts of Middle East and North Africa, a normal work week would run from a Sunday to Thursday instead of Monday to Friday. So I feel it's all about finding that balance where everyone feels like they belong and everyone thrives. So I feel international hiring isn't always about finding the right talent. It's also about mastering a whole bunch of legal, financial, and cultural challenges along the way.
So now the thing is, we're building a remote team, for example, right? It's all good. One thing, it's done. We have plans to build a remote team in whichever location, right? But managing it actually is a whole other challenge, right? So maybe from your experience, maybe you can help us explore how businesses can effectively leverage remote services to manage their remote teams. Alongside that, maybe you can also share some best practices for hiring, onboarding, and communication in a remote work environment. I think this will be very helpful for a lot of businesses who want to take up the remote option and at the same time be able to expand quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to making the most of remote services for managing remote teams, there are some great practices to keep in mind, right? Now, on the hiring front, the remote system or the remote platform actually provides or opens doors to a global talent pool, which is a game changer when it comes to finding the right talent, whether it is full-time employees or contractors, right? And it has also simplified the whole hiring process, which is a huge plus for all the busy HR and finance teams. And when it comes to onboarding, now the remote platform offers a comprehensive set of tools that take care of all the paperwork, the compliance side of things, and orientation. What this means is that your new hires get up to speed more quickly and smoothly, ensuring that they have all the resources and support that they need right from the start. And it's needless to say, right? Communication is key. So using tools like Slack, like Zoom, and other collaboration tools to make sure that your teams stay connected and on track. And I feel it's not about staying online all the time, right? It's about fostering a more open and inclusive culture where everyone feels heard and valued, and also focusing more on outcomes and results rather than micromanaging hours spent online, so that everybody then collectively is able to focus on what actually matters. So, whether you're looking to hire on board or keeping those communication lines open, remote services are actually there to help streamline that process and help your remote teams thrive.
Just help us understand this. Like, for example, just say I'm in Singapore, assuming I'm based in Singapore or Malaysia, for example, and I have a business and I want to expand to say about 4 or 5 different countries.
Yes.
And I've identified which countries that I want to expand into. And then, okay, so now I engage remote to help me with the recruitment, etc. So that means when I engage remote and utilize your platform, for example, so that means I will be the one that's actually managing it from Singapore, not the. Do I need somebody in all those other locations to be able to manage individually there, or is can everything be done in wherever I'm based, be it Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand?
Right. So for you as a business, you actually are able to manage all of this sitting in one location. So that's the whole idea, and that's the beauty of what remote solution is all about, right? Is that you don't have to maintain separate teams to manage this stuff across the countries that you're looking to hire into. And basically, like you said, you've identified the countries that you want to expand into. Now, when you come to me, all that we will help you with is essentially there are two instances or there are two scenarios. One is where you've identified the people that you want to hire. So that's when you'd be like, hey, Shreya, these are the people that I want to hire in X, Y, and Z locations. How can I do it? So essentially, that's when it's only a matter of a couple of days, again, depending on which country you're looking to hire into. But the process is so fast, and you're able to immediately onboard them into the remote platform, and we take care of all the complexities in the background for you. Right now, the other aspect is where you don't know who you're going to hire, but you have clarity on where you're looking to hire. So there's a couple ways to go around that. We have a remote talent board as well, which we use to connect businesses with job seekers. So you're either able to post your job requirement on the talent board and get matched with job seekers, or we have a massive talent partner network that are continually helping our clients on the recruitment side of things. So once that is sorted, and then you leverage the remote platform to do the formal onboarding. But it's literally that simple.
Okay, that's interesting because it looks pretty simple on the surface. So I suppose it should encourage a lot of people to actually start thinking about platforms like this to be able to go ahead with their plans to go big. Okay, now that we've spoken about a few positives about global expansion and how it can be done with platforms like remote, I want to touch on one of the biggest headaches for businesses when they're expanding globally, which is basically the minefield of international tax laws, right? I mean, each country has its own unique regulations, and staying compliant can be a full-time job in itself. So, how does your global payroll system, in this instance, handle complex global tax regulations?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to managing global workforces or tackling those tricky tax regulations, that's where Remote's global payroll system really steps up, right? So our system is all about making your life easy through our automated compliance. So essentially, the idea is that the companies don't have to sweat all the details, right? Our system updates automatically to comply with all the local tax laws and regulations, ensuring accuracy in payroll processing. So we also keep you in the loop on any new changes that happen via our remote watchtower, which is our handy tool of staying informed about any new policy updates, right? And secondly, we're here to offer comprehensive support. So from handling payroll taxes to managing those social contributions and other legal requirements, we have got our clients' backs across multiple countries, right? We ensure that everything is handled smoothly and on time so that companies are then able to focus on what matters most to their business. And a particularly noteworthy aspect is that our team includes local tax experts wherever we operate. So they actually know the ins and outs of each region's tax systems, ensuring that we're always compliant and we're providing our clients with the best advice possible. So whether you're dealing with tax regulations in one country or a dozen, Remote's global payroll system is actually designed to simplify that process and provide your finance teams that peace of mind.
So that means you do have experts in these few markets, so that it's easier for, say, if I'm not in that country and I want to spend there, so I just have to make sure that I can be pretty much comfortable knowing that things are all being taken care of at the back end. I just need to go ahead and execute what I need to execute in order to get my business up and running and moving, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges of international hiring. So now I'm curious to dive deeper into your employer of record solutions. I read it. I found it to be quite interesting, but I think you could also share some details on how this service basic or solutions basically simplifies the process of hiring and managing employees across different countries.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Remote's employer of record, which is also commonly known as the EOR solution, is an absolute game changer for companies that are looking to hire globally, right? And let me explain how it works. So, on the compliance front, Remote becomes the official employer, meaning that we take on the responsibility of navigating and adhering to all the local employment laws and regulations. So, this helps companies steer clear of all the legal headaches and always stay on the right side of the law, right? Now,
Sorry, can I just interject a bit? That means you become an employee of remote in this instance?
so on paper, so the essential idea is that there's going to be a three-way agreement between the business remote and the business's employee. So on paper, the employee will be remote's employee because the company is leveraging remote's local entity in that country to actually hire this team member. So, from a compliance and payroll standpoint, everything is taken care of by remote. But when it comes to working relationship, the business still continues to have a direct working relationship with the employee. So that's how that expansion becomes more scalable, right? You absolutely do not need to worry about where that talent sits, and absolutely do not need to worry about, oh, I do not have an entity in this country. How do I make all this happen? So that's where remote really comes into the picture and takes all that work off business plates. So they focus on what they do best, which is the talent acquisition. So finding the right people for their team.
Would you say that the EOR solution would be something that would be helpful for, like, for example, I mean, yeah, we have large companies, with small companies, with companies who have just started, right? Would you say that the EOR solution would be beneficial for companies, very new companies, for example, very new small companies, because they may not necessarily have you know the resources to actually expand very quickly, right? So and then taking up the EOR solutions, and then eventually they start growing from there. Would it be more suitable for companies like that, or do you think it's applicable across the board, all sizes?
Um, So the short answer to that is yes, the remote solution is applicable to businesses of all sizes.
Mhm.
But you mentioned a very interesting point there, right? If it's a small company, if it's just a startup, but does have those global ambitions, right?
Mhm.
And that's, I think, a particularly noteworthy aspect about remote, which is the flexibility that we give. So
Mhm.
essentially, with remote, companies are actually able, or even the smaller companies that are looking to expand, they're actually able to tap into talent from across the globe
Mhm.
without having to set up entities and in every single country that they're looking to hire, and also having to sort of continually maintain and manage them. Because I think even from a cost standpoint, it's much more feasible for a company to partner with an organization like remote to
Mhm.
manage this piece. Because let's say you're expanding into 5 countries, you then need expert consultants in every country to ensure that you're compliant. So I think in hindsight, when it comes to overall management of or overall maintenance of those entities, it actually turns out to be a more feasible option and a more faster option to partner with companies like remote to look at
Mhm.
international expansion. So we've actually had, and I speak with businesses day in and day out, right? And I get a lot of these requirements where they have a small team in their headquarters location, but they're often facing either with limitations around finding the kind of specialized talent that they're looking for. They're not able to find it in their geographical location. And which is why they've identified someone who's really willing to join their team. They just don't know how. So I feel that it is very applicable to businesses of all sizes and certainly small businesses, because they would definitely want to avoid all the hassle of setting up, managing, maintaining entities, because that's what our platform provides, right? That flexibility is key to these businesses.
It's interesting. There's a little something for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as they say, the proof is in the pudding, right? So it's time for real world examples. So maybe you could share some compelling case studies where your solutions have helped businesses achieve their global hiring goals and overcome the obstacles that we've been discussing since the start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have a great example to share. So this company, they had an awesome vision of expanding their operations globally. But like many other companies, they hit a roadblock when it came to dealing with compliance issues or managing a diverse global workforce. So they teamed up with Remote, and by leveraging Remote's EOR and payroll services, they were able to navigate these challenges rather smoothly. And now they could hire and manage employees across multiple countries without getting bogged into all the paperwork and administrative details, right? And the result, well, it was pretty fantastic, because this company's time is now freed up to focus on their growth strategies and their core business. They never had to worry about any compliance issues or payroll mishaps. Instead, they were able to confidently pursue their international expansion plans, knowing that everything else was in good hands. So, thanks to remote support, the journey for this company's international growth was an extremely smooth and a successful one. And I feel like it is a great example of how partnering with remote can really empower companies to achieve their global ambitions such hassle free, right? So yeah, that's one that I can definitely test for.
Right, good stuff, Shreya. Okay, so let's end in a rather interesting, fun-filled note. Right? Now, you're an international consultant. So what's a common myth about your job or your field of expertise?
Right. So for the longest time, as you already know, I'm a sales professional, right? And for the longest time, I feel like sales professionals have been perceived as people that want to sell products or services that nobody wants to buy, and often making people not want to speak to them. And it's ironic that I'm a sales professional and I am surrounded by some family and friends that wouldn't want to speak to sales professionals. So I feel it's and I feel like overall, the whole sales organization has evolved so much, and we've come such a long way from a sales professional role being defined as someone who has to, make n- number of dials like, a robot on turbo mode. But I
Mhm.
think that's not all it is, right? And I think it's all about all the quality conversations that I'm igniting on a day-to-day basis. and also being aware that it's actually those genuine connections and the rapport that I'm building with my prospects that will eventually turn them into remote partners. So, and it goes one meaningful chat at a time, right? So I think we've come a very long way and we still have a long way to go. But that's something that I feel that I have been able to make an impact day in and day out. And my role goes way beyond just making those dials. And I'm just constantly focused on, just like Sherlock Holmes, I am trying to uncover how my solution can potentially fit into my prospect stories. So I think that's a very common myth, and that's something that initially I sort of struggled, but now I've found my sweet spot where I confidently present myself as someone who is a consultant and someone who's helping companies make a difference and really achieve their global ambitions. So yeah, that's all from me. Cool.
Right. Thank you so much, Shreya, for sharing your expertise and insights on how remote is transforming the global hiring landscape. I think we've covered a lot of ground on the possibilities and the potential of international hiring today, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Kumaran, for having me here. Really appreciate it. The traditional boundaries of work are dissolving. With tools like remote, businesses of all sizes can tap into a global talent pool and build teams that transcend geographical limitations. It is indeed an exciting time to be a part of this workforce revolution. Thank you for watching. Please check out cexposure.tech on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and our website, cexposure.tech. The links are in the description. I'll see you again in our next episode with more tech and more talk.